I guess we are live. I will check the YouTube. So, hello to everyone who is watching now. I'm just checking if it's working. Yes, it is. So, okay, we are here. So, hello everybody who is watching. My name is Katarina Soleil. I was born in Czechoslovakia. So, actually, this is my second interview in English. And I'm really, really happy to share with you the story and also my guest who will be here in a while. And it's an emotional story for me because uh, 8 months ago, so my little kitten passed away, Luna, and she will be on the screen. And then I started searching for answers because I got the really deep experiences with her, and I was guided to find a person who's really connected to not only to my cat but also to other animals, and I will bring her in. So let me welcome uh, welcome. Yes. So let me welcome Maria Stoner. So hello, dear Maria. How are
Marina,
you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm fine. I just started to share in 2, 3 sentences my story with Luna, and I said that I was guided to find a person who can um, make the connection with my beloved kitten because it was really a huge shift in my life. Uh, 8 months ago. And since that time, really a lot of things changed in my life. And now I'm doing also animal communication in Czechoslovakia. I'm guiding a group of people who are starting to do their own animal communication. And I'm really grateful that I found you at the beginning, and Luna guided me exactly to you. Because what I feel is the resonance in my soul. And I was guided
Yeah.
to your essence. So welcome, and I'm really happy that we see each other for the first time live. Because when you do the communication, I don't see you; I'm just listening to you.
Right, right. Yes. Thank you so much for having me too.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you are an animal communicator, intuitive, and a Reiki master. And I'm
Yes.
really interested how this all began in your life. Where is the beginning, and how you get to the point where you are now? Because you are amazing professional and really deep in soul, and this brings a lot of warm essence to people when they're with you,
Oh,
and to
thank you.
animals also.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I actually was a Reiki master before I got into animal communication. Um, at the was drawn to the Reiki master when I had an illness myself, and was really looking at alternative methods of healing, um, energy work, those sorts of things. And so I had a friend who had said to me, have you considered Reiki treatments? And then after having a few Reiki treatments, decided to pursue um, training in Reiki myself and also animal Reiki. So I'm also trained in specific Reiki to work with the animals. So that part came along first, and then I think, as often happens, so I was very much connected with animals my whole life. There's a story on my website that talks about even my grandmother looking out the window when I was like 3, seeing me kind of dancing around on the pavement and coming out and asking me what I was doing, and I was saying to her that I was trying to not step on the ants. So always very aware of the animals and caring for them, and really realizing how important they were, and are. And I think it probably also started with, once I got into my own home, there was a flux of cats that started coming to me, and so and they were always injured, or there was something that was going on. And so that was kind of my first step into, like, how can I connect with them? um, you know what are the animals trying to show me, because I kept getting injured ones time and time again. But the big sort of step for me was getting a set of rescue dogs who had one had tremendous separation anxiety, and another one was very reactive to other animals. And I was doing everything. I was learning everything I could, training wise, learning everything I could, um, behavior wise, just trying to figure out ways to best help them. And I went to a conference because the other side of my life, and I don't even know if you're aware of that, Katerina, is I'm a mental health therapist. So that's what I've done for 20, 30 years of my life. And so I had gone to a training. It was on intuition. It was on past life regression. There was a variety of speakers at Omega Institute in New York, if anybody's familiar with that in the United States. And there happened to be a medium also doing some talking there. And he was talking about mediumship and connecting with people. And I actually got up the nerve after the fact, which was not honestly like me at the time, to ask him, can he connect with animals? And he said, no, but you have to meet this amazing friend of mine. And so as soon as I got home from the seminar, I looked her up, and it was the first time that I realized that you could learn how to speak with animals. And so I actually did a training for several years with her to reconnect myself. So I say to people, this is something that we can all do. We were born, we come in with the ability to connect with the animals. We just get told that we're, oh, that's silly, or you don't know that, or you can't know that. But we do. And one of the examples that I use is, so your dog, let's say, and you think, oh, I should go and check that water dish because maybe I need to put fresh water in there. And people think that's their thought. And what I say to them is likely that is actually your dog saying, hey, go put some water in my dish, refresh that. So to me, it is as a muscle that we forget how to kind of use. And once we open up to it, once we manage our energy, those are the two big things, along with trust, then we can start to get our own messages from the animals around us and our own animals as well.
Yeah, you mentioned this already. I wanted to ask you if it's an innate ability that we have it. Everybody has it, the intuition and the listening to the creation, to the other beings. And my question is, was it at the beginning so that first you start to feel the animals, if you feel their messages, and then you start to communicate actively? Because active communication is like a dialogue. So really, and my experience is that we are moving, maybe somebody not, but somebody's jumping in it into it. But sometimes we just need to trust that this is it, and we refine the skill to really start a dialogue with them, really like with a friend.
Yes. So I do believe that we all have this innate ability. I think sometimes I also refer to it as a little bit like if you were, I believe everybody has the ability to play a piano, but the more you practice and perfect that, the better you become. And I do think there are some people who really are able to lean into it and trust more, so they may become more of the concert pianist versus just for fun. But to me, the most difficult parts are managing your energy, because the animals really need you to manage your energy, or you're not going to be able to get their messages. And at certain points they'll say, oh, you're just too chaotic, so I can't get my messages through. Learn how to manage that. And then the trusting piece is probably the second biggest piece, because you really do have to trust what you're getting initially so that you can kind of test it out and see that I get that correctly from them. So in my I'm trying to remember one of the very first times that I remember that I knew, like, this is absolutely true, I just kind of know it in my soul, was with a cat it was an outside cat that was telling me a particular message. And I can even remember people around me, like I was like, no, he's telling me this. This is my adult life. And they were like, oh, no, how could that be? And I'm like, no, I know this is what this animal is telling me. And that was before my training as well. So
what was or is there the biggest surprise for you at the beginning in some point? So what was the surprising thing on it? You said, and this is really important, you said that we need to manage our energy. Is this the first message from the animals to people, to mankind, to manage our own energy, our own soul, and our own quiet and peace?
yes, I would say yes, exactly, Katerina. Because managing our energy has an impact on everyone around us, has an impact on the animals around us, and the collective in the universe, as I would say. So yes, I think, and again, it's how you're going to know, because you really have to be able to start to discern what are my own internal messages versus what are the messages that are coming from the animals. So
do you have experience with many species, I guess? So not only cats or dogs, or because people sometimes think that the insect or the lizards, so they are something different. What I was shown during the time also with you, with the connection with you and with my animals, I have 23 animals here, I need to say. So I have 3 female dogs for a couple of years already, and for the last 2.5 years I got the packages of cats, kittens,
yeah,
and they stayed. And one was born into my hands, and this was Luna. And she passed away also in my arms. So she was really special. I communicate with her also before her birth. I knew she's coming, and she will be black. I saw her, and she was a whole black kitten. And I really felt before she was born that this kitten will be special for me, but I couldn't imagine what kind of play will it be, or what kind of circumstances will happen that
right.
will bring me to my path, and to trust my soul and to trust the calling I had since I was a child. But I still was thinking about, oh, this is not something now, because it's not for the society where I live in Czechoslovakia. So for me, at the time when Lina had the problems for a couple of days, and then she passed away, she left the body, I I had no contact. I couldn't know where to call, whom to ask for help. And she really gave me to this path, or brought me to this path of just searching for the answers and for the possibilities to help and to connect with animal kingdom, because this is what I love since I was a child, but I couldn't trust it before. So yeah, this is a really special story. Also,
Yes.
you can communicate also with all the species, so not just the few or four
No.
legs.
Right. Yes. No. I mean, um, anything with energy, honestly, we can communicate. So, even plants and trees but yes, all of I agree with you, Katerina. A lot of times people think, oh, it's just domestic animals, or those of us that we think of as pets in our homes or in our lives. So I have talked to chickens, I have talked to cows, lots and lots of horses, a chipmunk, all kinds of different things, hummingbirds. So now a lot of times the wild animals will communicate a little bit differently, and that the messages can be briefer, one word, kind of shorter sorts of things. Like the little chipmunk that I communicated with a couple years ago, I was watering some plants at my house, and he came out on the little wall, and I can remember like saying like hello to him in my head, and then starting to talk to him, and he looked at me like, you're talking to me? Like, you can talk to me? And then I had asked him if he had a message, and he said joy. Like, his message was joy. So sometimes their messages are very brief and succinct and to the point, unlike sometimes the way the other animals will give us things.
You mentioned this, but Do you think that animals are surprised after such a long time not hearing the voice from the humans and from the humankind, that they are a little bit surprised that we are back?
Yeah, I think some of them are sort of like, oh, you're actually taking the time to do this, or you can communicate with me or us, or yeah. So there's some surprise. The cows, now they were domesticated cows, on a farm. When I was talking to one of them, did not seem to be surprised. So it can be very individual as well.
And could you, after how many years are you doing this? How many years are you?
So 8 years professionally, almost 10 in general. Yeah.
Wow. And after these years, do you see some similarity in the species, that the species keep some essence, which is where is the message for the people? So in the essence of the species, or is it totally individual? So like.
So it can be there's certainly, each animal has its own individual thing as it's pertaining to their human. I would say that species also kind of have a kind of overlying kind of message for just in general. I will say my experience with horses are, their messages can be very succinct. I sometimes will say to people, the horses will hit you like right in the middle of the head with their messages. They are very direct, and in my experience, they're one of the only animals that will sometimes swear or use profanity in readings with me. So because they really like drive their points home. So yes. So again, and you and I may get to this point, Katarina, too, where we talk about like each animal has a soul contract with us. So that is something that they're trying to help us learn while we're here, and that it can be very specific to us. But even when I do a reading, like, so example, when did a reading for you with Luna, there are always messages for me as well. So it's anybody that they're coming in contact with, they're also trying to teach at the same time.
So yeah, so I'm teaching, or I'm activating, not teaching, because we know everything. I just share with people what I carry, or where my consciousness is. I started to work with people maybe 12 years ago. Before, I was working with my body, or I needed to because of my illness.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to understand that we are energy, and we can talk not only to the universe, but also to ourselves and to everything, because it's energy.
Yes.
And what I want to share is, I don't know what I want to share. No, it's okay. Yeah. Yeah, I have my first. I was connected to the animals my whole life, or to the nature. I could feel when the rain will become. I could hear the message from the sun, from the water, from the flowers, but nobody said to me that it's okay. So they say, just educate yourself and do different things. So, and then we got sick. So I went sick, and I needed to switch my perception. And what I want to say, so my first activation was maybe 6 or 7 years ago, when I have visited a farm where they had 30 horses, and I was not connected to horses. I was afraid of horses. I didn't know anything about horses. I had only one dog at that time and one kid. And on the farm, there was an old female horse. She had the fur was out of the skin on one side. And I knew from the Chinese medicine and from my body and from what I did that there was a trauma maybe 2 months ago, because the skin shows some trauma or some things that happened before, and it was not harmonized. And I was looking at her and I said, "Who are you and what's your story?" And then I was asking about the story, and they said it was the night, the New Year's night, and she was injured, and she was lying down under the feet of the other horses, and she was really in stress. And at that evening, I was still thinking about her. And I went back to the hotel. I was invited to the hotel for some different work. And I was thinking about her. And suddenly, in this moment, as I was thinking about her and her story, what I heard, and I knew it was not accident that I was connected to this story. So the screen inside of me opened, and I could feel her shock and her fear. And I said, wow, she's still in shock, in such a fear of losing her life.
Mm.
And I was really shocked about the power of the energy and the connection. So I started to ask her, how can I help her and what happened? And she showed me the connections on the farm between the people and what's not good for the horses and so on. And she asked me to do something with it because nobody could hear and nobody could see. She needed to make cause a big injury or a big
Mhm.
problem, and
Mhm.
nobody could hear it. Still, nobody was there who could hear the message. So the next day, I said, "Wow, I love the animals. I would not do this in front of humans just like that because I was afraid they will think I'm crazy." But it was about the animals, and I love animals. And I say, "Okay, I'm going to the company." So I came to the company who owns the farm, and I say, "I need to talk to you." And I said about the things behind. So this is not working. This is not good. This is not good for the horses. And they were staring at me and asking, "How can you? How do you know this?" And I said, "The horse told me." And it was for the first time I could hear myself to say something like this. And I feel the warm energy. And I knew it was like this because I got the message, I got details.
Yeah.
And really, they called her a healer. And after maybe 6 months, 6 months, I was there again, and the things changed, and it was amazing. And maybe this is my next question. Amazing was that when we bring it out, so it can disappear, and the balance can there can be new balance. I didn't haven't solved it by myself. I just was talking about the things, and the universe or the power or the field or the grid arranged everything that in 6 months there were different conditions. The people who were causing the problems, they were out of the farm, but natural way. So it was amazing for me to see the whole process, and the horses had really amazing new life. And I say, wow, what is this? What I got as a confirmation, this story. So maybe you can say also, what's your experience when you do the readings? Usually I see on my own animals that the things change, the energy moves, and that when they are heard, so they are happy that they don't need to show anymore this pressure or this disorder. What's your experience with this?
So I think the animals are so wise in knowing, because a lot of us have a similar story, Katarina, in the fact that we became ill, or we got a particular animal that was ill or challenging behaviorally. So they know when they show up that way, it has a chance of motivating us more, than if it were just, humans are a bit predictable in that if everything is going along fine, we kind of just let it go along fine, and we don't grow, we don't pursue things, we don't look for answers because everything seems to be fine. So, and there's also a lot of us that are in this community who I think have also been brought to it by our own health issues and having to look internally, and then using that, because I find any experience that I've had or alternative healing, different things that have worked, we are also the ones who go like, how can I use this and help it with this with the animals as well? So, and I think I'm a little off of what your question was, but there is a bigger connection here. And so and energy is amazing. Like you're saying, you took a step, you shared information that you had, that the horses had shared. Often that will allow people to open up a little bit of their own pathways. And it also allows the energy to open and start to make shifts. The universe can then move and shift also with that energy opening.
So, and in general, I was shown that the animals are, we call them animals or nature or yeah,
Right.
like them. But they showed me, and Luna was, she was teaching me so much. She was teaching me every, since the moment she left or even before. I didn't realize before, but after I
Yeah.
realized the subtle energies and the field and everything. So my life totally changed. And she taught me about things about when there is a bigger purpose. So they that they leave, we can do what we want to do. But if they are better for us or for being out of the body, so we we cannot influence this. So how is it with this part? Because it's a really tender question,
Yeah.
or it's a big question with
Yes.
people who lose their animals, who didn't know what happened or how to deal with the situation, with the energy that stays, but the body goes. So, and what is with the soul, with the connection? I say always the love stays because
Yeah.
it's about love to the animal and it stays. It's eternal.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I have the connection to my Luna as if she would be here. And as you said, some animals, or Luna especially, she wasn't prepared to be a long time here because her energy is so big, so like a star.
Yeah.
And I could see it. You haven't seen her, but you described her energy exactly as who she was. And how what can you say to this
Sure. Sure.
people?
So I would say recently, within the last 2 years, I've gotten just a handful of animals that present in the way that Luna presented, which is they show me as if they are a shooting star. And I would say there's only maybe been four in the last 2 years. This was not something they were showing me prior. And those animals seem to come here with an incredibly powerful message and work to do, but they know they're not meant to be here long. So most of them are not living even a year. But they came here with this incredible message for their humans, and in a lot of ways to propel their humans into a huge energy shift, a huge learning growth. Um, Now, those of us, that love our animals, we're human, we're still in our human form. Having them what I call transition to the out of their physical form, and that's incredibly painful for us, because we're very attached to that physical piece of them. Um, they show me they're always with us. We just think about them, remember them. That brings them closer, pulls them in. They send signs. Um, One of the things I often do with people is help them identify what signs their animals are sending them, so that they can have some comfort in that. You can also assign them a sign to show you, so it doesn't have to just be something that they create. You can ask them, like, show me this or do this, and they will do their best to try to do that, or offer an alternative if it's something they don't feel like they could quite manage. Um, so yeah, so I think grieving them is one of the hardest parts of being here and being in our physical forms still. They do not see death the same way we do as all. They see it as moving. Like, it's almost, I just often describe it to people as if we were taking off like wet, heavy clothing and, shedding that off. That's often how they describe it to me. Like, look, that skin, that body that was no longer serving me, that either it had some kind of illness or a lot of pain and deterioration. I don't need that anymore, and I'm just going to set that free, and I'm going to move to the next phase of things. So there's not the sadness, the missing, that sort of thing that we as the humans experience.
For me, it was. I remember the process. I remember I couldn't enter the process. There was a bubble of energy. I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't do anything. And in a case of my male cat, after who had injury, so we went through the surgery and everything. And the vet said that he was afraid he will not survive, but I knew he will survive. And it was horrible with the surgeries. But
Mm-hmm.
inside of me, I had approach, or I could enter his energy, but I couldn't enter her field.
Mm.
And I was just there, and I was just I couldn't do anything. But immediately after, when she the last breath went out of the body, so I could see there was I didn't believe it at the moment, but I remember the picture. So there was like she was like, I'm back, and I could see the spiritual beings around her, and welcoming her, like, with, let's say, applause, that you did a great job. And it
Mm.
didn't make sense at that moment, because I was in such a grief, in such a
Yeah.
shock
Yeah.
in that moment. But in the level of my energy and the soul and the spiritual level, I could see a different picture. And
Yes.
after a couple of days, I was questioning myself. Everybody's questioning. I think the grief belongs to this. We cannot cross the grief, but we don't need to stay in it. And
Right.
I was questioning if I could do something better, and feeling guilty and so on. And she came while I was driving, maybe after 2 days, I was driving, and she came to me, and she showed me her energy. She just started to communicate after 2 days with me, so that I will believe into it
Yeah.
finally.
Yeah.
And she showed me something really important. She showed me, uh, you had me down lower than you were. You had, she told to me, you had the feeling that you need to protect me and save me and help me. And then she moved her energy, her essence moved to the level of my heart. So her heart on the level of my heart. And she said to me during the drive, this is the place where I am.
Mm.
So we are equal. And then she started to open the picture, and she said, she showed me, that I'm a visual, my perception is visual more, the most. And she showed me that heart to heart, and she showed me her light shining around her to the all parts of the universes and dimensions. And she said, you see, I have my own connections with this universe, with the God, with the spiritual world. And we met on some level, we crossed, our energy crossed on the earth, and that's it. So she said to me, you are not responsible for my way, my path, because there is a bigger essence, which is, we don't see it. We
Right.
see the loss, we feel the loss. But now, after my second cat, or it's not mine, but Leo passed away, so I really went through this in a different, with a different consciousness, with a different energy, because I saw, okay, it was his decision, and now he's with her, and they are cooperating with me. So it's
Right.
amazing,
Yes.
the what would we have. So I feel, the message for people, what I can share now, because I have a lot of animals around, so there are different stories. Everyone carries different stories, so I cannot say everyone will survive 1 or 10 years. We cannot say this.
Yeah.
I am so in perception of what they need, what they share. And if they want to go, I say, okay, so it's your decision, and I'm finally free of the guilt, or of the too big responsibility for the laws of the life.
Yes. I think you bring up an amazing point. Um, because we often, and a lot of us think of ourselves as pet parents. We're entirely responsible for them. Um, as you said in your experience, the animals see themselves as very equal to us in energy. They do not see themselves as victims. So they're bringing with them, above all else, they're, in my experience, they're bringing the lesson, and what they're here to help us, again, collectively learn, and also as individuals learn when they're in our presence. So they are willing um, to have things that look to us like painful, or ailments, experiences, those sorts of things that sometimes are really hard on our hearts. But they know and see the bigger picture always, and so they're okay with doing that to get us where we need to be. So yeah, so it's amazing experiences that you've had, Katerina. Um, I think uh, one of the first times after I was really connected and doing animal communication work, and I had this had this idea that, oh, now that you're really communicating with the animals, the next animal that transitions for you, and leaves its physical form, it's not going to hurt as much. And that is not correct in my case, at least. But what I can tell you is when I helped him transition, because he had a significant illness, I could feel, and so I get a lot of knowing. I'm also very visual, like you are, and I get a lot in my body that shows up that I can feel that they feel. Um, and I could feel his spirit and soul lift out. It was one of the first times I was like, oh my gosh, I can feel this. The vet did not have to tell me that he was no longer in his body. I looked at her and said, he has moved on. Like, I could just tell. Um, and that was a tremendous gift to me, but it did not take away the grief. So the fact of him, not being with me, still not being there in physical form, I think, again, that is part of us being human, that's part of our experience here. And as much as I sometimes don't even want to feel that, and I know others don't either, I think it's part of the love. When you love something like with your whole heart and soul, I'll say, then there's a pain when it's no longer in the way that we like to feel it best, which is in that physical, whether it be furry form or scaly skin, or whatever your animal came here in. We miss that.
Definitely. So I feel it's like a scale of everything, and but we don't need to stay in one level of the scale with the grief. So
Right.
uh, I I feel, as you mentioned, that we are just, or our physical form is missing their physical form. But
Yes.
when we open our perception and consciousness, so we are something that is bigger than our physical form. And now I need to say this. So, you were with me, or you are with me for 88 months already. So I have some issues with the animals and so on, and entering the body of my Lena, and shining the sun inside the body. So I really was, they taught me new skills how to deal with their imbalances. So they're really, I have few cats around. They are really like teachers for my own skills to harmonize myself, my body, myself, because I'm mostly, maybe 90%, I'm living from pranic energy. I don't need to eat anymore. And this evolves in the years, in the last years. So with my consciousness, with my body, through the raw food and through healing my things which I had, and the body showed me the wisdom. And I feel that these, as you said, you were the Reiki master, or you did before the animal communication, you start to open your energetic field and understand yourself. So know yourself, you will know the universe.
Right.
And I can say that uh, it's more and more profound every time that I am I feel that through the animals, if we are quiet, and we can be in peace and to ground out and manage our energy, so we can get such a huge wisdom that we cannot imagine now, but we remember this because we are the part of the wisdom, and it is so natural for the human really to be in contact with the animals. Uh, I feel the love and the connection which we have can bring us there, because sometimes the connection between two people is not so powerful, and it doesn't go so deep, because people have some stuff around and things and mind and programs. But with the nature, with the animals, so we are just touched deeply inside of our souls. And as a Shaolin master said one day, he said, it doesn't matter if you feel the love through the animal or through the sun or nature or through some person, you feel love and you are there and your heart thrives, and this is it. So I feel it's a great. I'm really happy for this conversation because the experiences we share, and I need to say also in our country there maybe there were 2 3 people which I found after, and they are a little bit hidden. They
Mm,
don't show they are doing this professionally, and
mhm.
I was surprised that in the world, because you are in America now, I'm in Europe, in the middle of Europe, and I was really surprised that in the world it's like a normal position, let's say, or uh, that you can do it as a normal job is not the word, but
Yeah.
you bring the gifts, and as a normal person who's normal in the head and who has better feelings and who's sensible, and it's accepted. So
Yeah.
in our countries it's something new. This is what I feel. So it was really new for me, the challenge to listen to Luna also when she told me that I need to bring it out,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
also in our country. And I met really amazing people who have connection to the stones. We have also in the group of communicators, we have 2 kids, 12 years old, and they are amazing
Yeah.
how they approach the field. They don't have problems to be connected.
Right. Yeah. Um, I hear you. So, and 10 years ago when I entered into this, it was probably much like what you find, Katerina, in Europe. There were not a lot of people um, doing this work openly at all. Really very few professionally doing it. I do see the collective and the humans, I feel like, are opening up more and more and more, and also being open to connecting with themselves, connecting with their animals. There's sort of like a rippley kind of effect that I've been able to witness, which is really an amazing thing to see. When I first started this, I did not share it with other family or clientele in the professional world, because there was the same sort of thing of like, oh, like that you might be crazy kind of thing. So that also was happening here. I feel like it's really started to um, become more accepted.
You mentioned it now. Is it like, or I have it in my head like this. So is it like this that when we start to communicate with the animals, is it easier for us to communicate with different animals, not with them in our homes?
So I will, in my own personal experience, and I would say most people think it's more difficult to connect with their own animals. Um, Part of that is because we are, um, it's harder. So when I do a reading, I don't like to see a picture or know anything about the animal before I do a session with them, because I don't want my eyes and my brain to start to make associations that aren't there. I like to have the information from the animal. So what happens with the ones that we live with every day, like we're seeing them always and taking in information, mentally, the pictures that we see, we're watching their behavior, we know what they eat, we're seeing their activity level. Those sorts of things, I think, make it harder for us to be able to put our brain aside and just get the message from the animal.
Uh, what came to me is I did this before because I did readings or for the people. So and when I met a person who came to me, I'm also an artist, so I do different things. I have some few books, but in this case, when people were coming to me, so I said to everybody that I will not look at them.
Yeah.
So sorry, I apologize, but I will not look at you because I need to look to the side to be inside of myself. And this was one of the essences. There were 2 essences when I found your webpage. As I was looking and searching after Luna passed away, so I was searching around the internet, and when I found your page and I wrote you immediately, these were the 2 things which I felt this is the quality which I need to really trust and to believe into it. And but I was waiting for the reading, and for me it was great that you didn't want a picture and you didn't want to know anything.
Yeah.
And I say, wow, this is something what my brain has no things what to say now,
Mhm.
and I have
Mhm.
more space to go in trust. This is one quality in your what you offer or what you share with people. And the second was that when you wrote me that okay, we can have a session, and it needs to be at least 2 weeks after the transition. So I said, wow, this is something interesting. And you wrote me that you were asking me to tell to Luna that you will be talking to her. And I
Yes.
said, wow, this is something really like with honor, with tenderness, with something which was really important for me at that moment. I couldn't imagine that this could be the quality needed. But as
Mhm.
you wrote, I say, wow, this is it. And the third thing was when we were live already. So, when the soul of the human is in grief, and but we want to believe there is something more. I know there's something more. I knew it with my head, but this was an experience which was new for me. So we need to get some proof.
Yeah.
And proof for me was that you didn't know anything about her. And I could feel, and I feel it from the clients also who are
Mhm.
coming, that they're expecting something that they say, yes, it's true.
Yeah.
So I was really, my soul was waiting for a proof because I needed the proof at the beginning to really
Mhm.
trust. It is like that we don't go, that the energy doesn't disappear, doesn't
Yeah.
it disappear when we leave the body. So you really, I'm happy that I found you because this was I needed these layers together. I needed everything together in one. And these were 3 points for me, which were very important. And since that day, really things started to happen differently.
Yes. Yes. Well, thank you for sharing with me too. Also, what made a difference for you. Um, I will. There's two reasons that I'll say like a 2 week period after the loss of after an animal transitions and there's a loss. One is to allow their energy to like fully collect to the other side. Although I will say again, in my years of doing this from 10 years ago to now, they are doing that more quickly. But again, to just be on the safe side. But the other part is when we are deep in grief, it can be harder for us to hear the messages. And so giving the human a 2 week time to just sort of, kind of settle into, um, knowing that that animal has transitioned and getting through the immediate, incredibly often emotional part of the grieving process allows them to better hear the message than when the animal comes through. And the other thing, and you point this out beautifully, Katerina, is that I know people, they want the proof. They want some detail that really says to them that like this is my animal. And I wanted the same thing when I also first started. What I will say to people is try not to be too specific about what that is. Just allow the animal to present that to us. Because as you know, and as I've experienced too, if we allow their amazing wisdom to pick whatever that is, it is way more expansive or anything we could have ever even thought of that will help heal our heart and our soul and give us the confirmation. Sometimes
So,
people get very like they want a very specific kind of tiny little detail. Sometimes the animals will give that to me, but what they will often say is like, please try and encourage this person to like open up the process of this and how it can show up because I can give them even more rather than limiting it to this.
yes. And if we switch to the living animals also, which are in bodies, so is it, oh, yeah, I know what I want to say. what came to me, it's like more about allowing, not to
Mm. Yeah.
pushing, but
Yes.
allowing to listen, and to like opening the space, and not to filling in the space with something we expect. So, and,
Yeah. Yes.
yeah, that's my experience. And when we go to the living animals, which I know that we can, because when I met a person, I don't know, a couple of months or years ago, and they say, yeah, animal communication, that's something I do on the training field. So I say, sit and bring, and that's it. And I said, no, this is not what I mean. So people sometimes think in the box of the matter. So this is the dog, and this is me, and I'm the owner, and I need to raise him up, and he needs to listen to me.
Yeah.
And I feel this is that maybe we are more educated than the animals in the environment of the animals. And what I want to say, I have experience with being with animals personally, with the living animals. So it's different. Uh, it's more because you are there, you feel their energy, they are coming, maybe the horses are coming to see you. And I learned that really to stay in my essence and to be quiet, so brings the possibility that they show up what they
Mm-hmm.
have to share.
Mm-hmm.
uh, and but this is I feel this is the same for the energetic level. So if we stay with us and we open the field, so the animals enter, and they start to show up. So when I'm with the animals, so for me the plus is that I really love how they smell, how they move, because we can see them live, and there is something that shows more. Or do you feel the difference between being with them or feeling them only? Do you feel some difference between? Or is it better when people want to start to communicate with animals to start with observation of the animals, how they behave, the body language, because then you can translate it from the energy when you see it in the energy.
That's a great question. Um, I think it might have a bit to do with, so I would say everybody has a primary way that the information comes into them most strongly initially. Then some of the other pathways will kind of open up as we trust that. So one of the big areas that I had access to for myself in the beginning and learning was the body piece. So I could feel in my body what they feel in theirs. Um, and I will say the ones that are still in their body give me those things. The ones who have transitioned to the other side often will give me body sensations and things, because that's also ways to confirm to their human what was going on with them when they were here. So when somebody is like trying to reconnect with that and trying to learn animal communication, and I'm like you say, reconnect with that part of themselves, I say go with what feels like the strongest sense first. Is it the feeling? Is it the visual piece? Is it the knowing? And sometimes we'll have examples of that in other areas separate from the animals that we can kind of know, like that's a strong sense for us. So a lot of people will know, like, okay, I'm very visual. I pick up pictures of things. When somebody describes something without having to see it, I can make a picture in my head. So part of it is, I think, just going with the sense that you trust the most in the beginning, and allowing that to come in. So when I was first learning Kettering, one of the things one of my teachers said, like, she would give us the name of an animal, but not tell us what kind of animal it was. And so we were just supposed to connect in whatever way we felt we could with that. And I can remember getting, I can't remember the name of the animal that she said at a particular point, but I was connecting and I could feel like my nose broaden, and I could feel a particular issue in one of my legs. And when she said to us after the fact, this is a cow, And I was like, oh, that's what the nose felt like and meant. And the cow had a particular injury to the leg. So those things gave me the ability to start to trust, like, wow, I really can tap into this energy and trust some of these things that I'm getting. Because in the beginning, most people they want more detail. And it's very hard to say to them, no, you don't. No, you don't. Those things are going to possibly get in the way of you trusting what you get. And we want you to learn what's the best way you feel into the animals and you get the information, because it's not the same for everybody. Some people hear a lot of things. I don't hear a lot of things. I will hear things here and there at times. But sometimes that's their strongest sense of things. Some people are really, really like downloads of messages and all sorts of things. I get that. Again, I would not, it's probably my second sort of strength. The feeling really is the initial thing. So and it can sometimes be like when you're working with other people and you can see, where their information comes from. Sometimes you're like, oh, I wish I had that. But it's really about learning and getting comfortable with where your senses come in first and using those to the best of your ability. Does that so? And I can't always, I will say to people, the one thing I won't do is tell you if your animal is alive or still in body. So I don't do lost animal work because I don't feel like I have a good sense of that. They come through to me every once in a while. I will know kind of from what I will say, like an ethereal kind of wispy sort of form that they're not in their body anymore. But I cannot 100%, at least at this point, designate that. So that's kind of work that I don't do. The other thing that I will say to you is I think there's a secondary reason why I don't do that work, in that I still struggle with getting very emotionally connected sometimes, because when people have lost animals, their energy is in a very different space most times. There's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of pain. And so there are points where I can tell where the universe says, like, that's going to be too disruptive for you in your energy field. So we're going to keep you from some of that. I actually worked with a lost animal. I've done it a couple of times. One because I was guided to do it, and that one worked out really well. And another time where I got a lot of images 2 or 3 times of exactly where this animal was, and the human kept getting more and more anxious and like calling me nonstop. And fascinatingly enough, I think my guides shut down the energy so I couldn't get any more information. So that's the other thing, is kind of to know, I mean, in this work, we have to know how, like, what is best for us, what works to keep us in our best health and well-being. And it's okay that there's certain points of the work that may not be for us right now, or not ever even.
We are still evolving. As I experienced, it's every time it's unique. Every time we cannot predict what to expect, and this is the true communication. Then, yes, of course, there are some grounding techniques and managing the energy, which I also recommend to my students or friends, because it's good for life. It's good for
Yes.
everything. So to be aware of who you are, how you deal with situations, and if you can calm down your breath and so. And what I experience is that the animals, they are always talking, or they are not hiding anything. This is what I wanted to say. So what I experienced, that when we calm down our energy, so the field or the grid in between delivers the message the best way to us.
Yes.
So we just don't need to start thinking about how, or if he's getting it through hearing and I'm not, and so on. And what came to me, a friend of mine, she's in this amazing group. She has 9 dogs, this lady, and she did the healings through frequencies, also for the dogs, for people. And she said, I cannot connect to my animals. So how can I do this? Because it was still in her head.
Yeah.
She could help others. And what came to me, and I have shown it. I was shown it through my Lena. She has a specific energy. It's really a cat cat, lady cat, and she really keeps me on the toes, like how and so on. But through her, I can really learn a new techniques which are delivered to me. So I'm not learning it through the books. They are
Mhm.
just when I'm focused on her. So just something came to my mind and said, wow, this I can try this. And what I want to share is when I didn't know how to enter her field with the immune system and all the problems with the food, and I didn't know what to give her anymore and what will not cause the inflammation and so on. So I got the, I said this is from her. I got the quiet message from her that I should not focus on her, like
Mm.
personally on her energy. I should focus on the food which I'm preparing and on her bowel. And as I shift the focus to the bowel, it came to me, put this inside, so we can connect indirectly sometimes to our animals. So sometimes it's really unusual way how to connect with the animals is not to connect to them personally, but to connect to to a step in front of them. So the food, for
Yeah,
example. So she
right.
showed me also this, and I shared this with this lady. So I say, if you cannot connect, because when I feel, or maybe you say also the same, I feel animals are so relaxed in their energies, in the natural state of being, that they sometimes are surprised what we are doing with the pressure, with the focus, and with
Mhm.
attending to communication and stress and everything. And she gave me a really a new view on all of this. So not to push the animal with our fears or sorrows or questioning what to do, but go uh, to the bowl maybe.
Yeah.
And she said, wow, this is amazing. And she tried it and it worked. It started to working. So it was
Yes.
amazing how we are educated um, through the animal field, that not to focus too much and to allow to be to be delivered, the message to deliver to us, to have it delivered.
So I think you're making an amazing point, because what we're talking about is that that difference between what I call push energy, which is, when we were talking about people wanting a specific message, that comes with a very much of the push directed kind of energy. That's a different frequency than allow. And so, like you're saying with your friend, and I think with our own animals, particularly if they're ill or there's something that we feel like they're not getting or they need, there's this push for us to like figure it out, discover it, what is it. And you beautifully came up with a method, and I'm sure they helped you in, no, relax into that, move away from that push energy and that having to discover on this being, bring it out to more of that collective kind of knowledge, like you're saying, just a part of the body. And that then allows the messages to start to freely flow again. Because when we get that push energy, when it's that anxiety, fear, that can shut things down. Absolutely.
Yeah, and you mentioned, yeah, my question is, are we influencing the results totally, or is it in the also in the universal hands? Because you said that when we are pushing too much with our fears, so we can influence the field of the animal. And I was shown through Luna when I was asking the question if I could help her to give her antibiotics earlier or something. So if she will stay, and she brought me to the. It was a really hard night, the night after. So I was really crying and then sleeping, crying, and in the state of the grief and open, because when we meet also the transition. So I think that's the whole circle, so we need to be in contact also with this energy. It's a part of life. And some nations in the world, some tribal nations, they celebrate this,
Yes.
like the people are coming back home and to the field of unlimited possibilities.
Yes.
So in Luna brought me to really to like there was a just a thin line which I was connected to. And I said, I need to know the answer. If it was my fear which could cause the damage, or is it differently? And she showed me that if if there be thousands of doctors or vets who will offer some medicine, if I would wish that she stays, but she wouldn't want to stay, nothing will help. And on the other hand, she showed me we are so powerful and we have such a strong connection with the life that if there will be maybe this damage or something fears around, it will not influence our decision to go. So she really taught me this lesson, and I needed time to absorb this. And I want to ask you, because you mentioned it once now, you said you were talking to your spiritual guides, and with this as and Luna's transition, uh, for me, the field of spiritual world opens again, because when I was a kid, I closed it. I
Mm.
closed it at some age. I didn't want to be in contact with this because I didn't know what to do. And she
Yeah.
brought it back, and I can say now that it is so powerful and so natural to me. And I realized that also animals have their own guides, their energies, and we have our guides, that we are not alone. And this helped me a lot, that I could release the pressure that it's upon me as a human on the earth, because I understood that we are supported and we just need to ask for help or for
Yeah.
guidance. So can you open this topic more with the
Sure.
in connection with animals, please?
Sure. Just want to follow up on what you were saying about, because again, I think humans hold a lot of responsibility and sometimes guilt, like you were talking before, about the health and well-being of their animals. Um, what I have learned from the animals, both in my own experience and from talking to all of them, is it goes back to that contract. So if they are meant to be here, they will continue to be here. And so let's say they're ill and they're meant to be here, then there's going to be something that we find, whether, it's through our own internal work, finding the right medical provider, whatever it is, that will allow them to stay. If the contract is up, and they've done what they felt like they needed to do here, and or sometimes they will tell me, like, look, I've done everything I can do with my human here, but if I transition to the other side, I've got access to a whole lot of other things to help them continue their work, then that will happen. And nothing that we do is going to keep them here. And I have seen examples of that even in my own life, where, I currently have a kitty who has a heart condition, who now I take him to the cardiologist, and we do traditional medicine and we do holistic medicine. And they say, like, last time we were there, in May, like, this is a miracle kitty, and he is. But what I know is he's meant to stay with me longer. And when we first discovered the heart condition, there was a procedure that I had to decide, do we do or do we not? And I said to him, okay, if you're meant to be here, you're going to survive this procedure, and we're going to go on in life. And he is now 6 years post that. So he's done amazingly well, because again, I believe he's meant to be here. There have been other animals where medically they should not have transitioned, or this shouldn't have happened, and nothing I did made a difference. And that can be, that was early, even before my animal communication days, and those can be very hard things to kind of wrap your head around. So I agree with you. I hear you. Yes, like the animals, they're kind of the masters of this, and work with the universe and collective as a whole in what we need and how we best learn it. Okay, Katerina, I think I lost the last part of your guides. So yes, the guide.
I have a
Yeah.
quick question
Mhm.
to what you
Yeah.
said.
Yes.
So you mentioned it, and I have heard it, read it. So they are here for us. Is it that they are just for us, or that's their own way, also their own path? They
So
are here.
I think there's some debate on that, depending on who you talk to. My take on it is that the animals really understand unconditional love,
Mhm.
which is where they're trying to get us to. So they already get that points, and so they don't need that part. I'm sure they're having, I mean, they're definitely having their own experiences while they are here. I do, from again the work that I've done with them, feel like most of it is centered on, again, trying to raise us up as a collective in the energy, and bring us up in frequency, both individually and then again as a whole. So most of their work when they're talking to me seems to be centered on helping us.
So maybe that's also because we, it's like we can see the universe also from our perception and perspective. So for us, it makes this sense, and we can just imagine what kind of contracts they have in their universe. So we don't know. So I think nobody, no communicator can see this, because there is still the personal perception of things. So yes, I agree. So in
Yeah.
connection with animals, so we are evolving to, or opening the, not evolving, we are there, but we forgot. So we are opening the love and trust, and that's what is natural. And
Yes. Yes. And
I
I
say,
do believe they do have contracts with each other as well. So the animals here have contracts with each other about how they understand things, which quite frankly helped me to understand that, because there are some sorts of parts of nature that I don't enjoy. Then in the in the animals having to eat each other, let's say. So that's a tough thing sometimes, for those of us who can feel and are sensitive. But when things like that have happened, when I've talked to them, they are clearly saying to me, no, like this was our agreement. And again, with the animal seeing things as like, okay, I just move out of this body and I go into soul form, or I move out of this body and go to the next form. They're like, okay, no, not a big deal.
perfect, great, thank you. And to the guides, and we are already 1 and 10 minutes, 1 hour 10 minutes. Tell me about the guides, and
Yeah.
maybe
So
we
I,
can continue because it's so
yeah.
many topics.
So when I'm getting ready for my sessions, I'm calling in the animals and I'm calling in their guides. I also call in my guides anytime I'm doing sessions. So yes, I think they have guides themselves. They have a species guide typically. Um, so and one of the things that I have been taught and am aware of in when it comes to our guides is that there are points where they will not step in unless we ask for the help. So they are there, to do their best, but please, like, I would encourage us as humans to say, like, talk to your guides, ask them for assistance, ask them for knowledge, ask them to share whatever their wisdom and however they can show it to you. Because there is something about that communication and that cooperation that helps, bring us to our best knowledge, our best self, our best growth.
Do you feel because when I was connected to but it was years ago when I was taught by my spiritual guide. She taught me how to enter my own energy.
Mm.
And I remember there was one day when we were talking about the animals, and she said, you have something special with these animals, but she didn't tell me. But she said, you and animals, so that's your topic.
Yeah.
And at that moment in the field with her, I could feel the presence of the guides of the animals, and it was really different feeling. So like more not solid, but it was different. So how do you experience them? So are they, what's the qualities? How can we connect? Or is it like when we connect to our guides, we can ask also the animal guides to help? Or how is the connection? How can we approach them
Boy, I
usually?
think, I
There's a
think there's
process.
I don't know if there's a one size fits all. I think it's again going to be sort of each person kind of working with it and trying what feels and works best for them. I agree with you that the energy feels different when I call in the animal guides. I'm going to describe this in the way that I feel it best. So it's a clean, neater, almost, there's a concise, cleaner energy feel to me the guides than necessarily with the way the animals come across. There's also, I don't get body stuff with them. It's a different level of uh yeah, I wish I could. It's hard to formulate a word to kind of describe the energy field difference, but it's like sharper, cleaner, neater somehow is the best way I could describe it. Um, so and again, when I'm calling that in for my readings, I'm calling in all of the, like, the higher beings, all of that greater collective to kind of help in any way possible. Um, and then a lot of us can, do some exercises to connect with our own guides, which we can bring in to help with our own work. So not sure that answered exactly what you're asking, Katerina. So if there's more, you just let me know.
Yeah, I just it came to my mind as I could remember this, the feeling, and it was different.
Yeah.
What I understand, and this is what I want to share with people who have these qualities, or this. We are many who have the sensitivity and sensibility and clairvoyance, clear hearing,
Yes.
and connection to nature. And I feel, especially in our countries, there's no time to hide anymore all these gifts, because I was hiding it for a long time. I did a good job. I was working with people, but I was still missing something.
Mm-hmm.
And now I know that what I was missing was really the, like, not to think about our path for what, for which we are here, but to feel it.
Mm-hmm.
I was missing the last piece, because I said, okay, I'm working with people, for people. And then my mind or told me that, and are you not doing this because you believe that there is something you need to help, to repair or save? And I said, wow, sometimes we do work as a therapist, or I don't know, psychologist, because in some hidden part of our minds and consciousness, we believe there is something to save or help with. And animals taught me the biggest lesson which I got from the animals. They taught me that they are just the pure love. They are there. And they told me that you are still there. So have fun, have joy, enjoy it more as you were enjoying it before. Because it looks perfect that we are helping and so on. But the play and the body relaxing of the animals and their pure connection is something that brought me to my own connection.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I want to share this. So don't be afraid to open this, because if we don't use the gifts which we were given, so we are we cannot enter this field fully. I was asking myself if I'm enjoying it, and I said I was not enjoying it anymore so much. And I say I need to find some point, and there was just, I'm here and they are here, and I'm happy, and it's like my soul, my breath. I cannot describe the connection with animals, and which I understood, and I'm happy that we were talking about the spiritual guides, because it's there, so it's part of this field. It's not, without it it will not be whole. And I want to say that sometimes, or our, how to say it, in our minds from Czechoslovakia or from the post-communistic countries, we have really deep written that we are not enough and we cannot open too much, because there will be some restriction or something. And but if we not do this, if we will not open our gifts, so we are still like in the middle. So not too much, not too less, but it's still like sleeping energy. And also this causes the problems in the world.
Yeah.
Because if we don't get and open our gifts, so, or I would say differently, if when we open our gifts and when we share what we feel, so the other people who didn't hear about this, they can stop and say, wow, what is this? I had the same feeling, but I have never heard about this. So it's needed to use our voice. This is what I get as a message from my animals. So use your voice and use your name, use your influence, and to share about the nature. And I understood that I'm not alone in it. So I would
Mm,
not sell something like buy this, buy this. I'm not a seller. I cannot do this at this
right.
moment. But as they enter in my life, I say, wow, I feel such a power and such a strength to share because I'm doing it with them and also for them and for the humans, for humanity, for the people. And this is where I feel the best. So this was something important for me after working so many years with people only.
Yes. I think one of the things that unites us all as humans, no matter where we are on this planet, is that we struggle with the same sorts of things like you were just talking about. So typically the animals are giving me four basic things that at the core, we are working on at least one of them as humans. So like you said, I'm enough, I am lovable, I am worthy. And then a big one, and this is also one that one of my dogs dramatically helped me with, which is I'm safe, protected, and secure. And so those are the core things I think as those of us as humans, the animals are again trying to help us realize in our own heart of hearts and soul of souls, so that we again can continue to do the growth and share those things. And because in my other side of my work with the humans, we've got a lot of heads disconnected from bodies. And so a lot of my work, even in that realm, is like, let's connect that all together. Because if we can't feel like ourselves, then that's keeping us disconnected from other things. And one of the things I think that connects us so much with the animals is their ability to be in the moment and always be present and feel the joy and all of those. Like they're just so in the moment about things. And that's where we're going to function best. And they're trying to like, come on, feel these things and get in there, know that. Because like you're saying, uh, the universe needs that. And so everybody needs to take their part in that so that we all grow as a collective. No time for hiding, like you said.
Yeah, 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 that's it. And yes, great. So I in the description below this video are the contacts on your webpage. And my question is, will you start to teach people animal communication? No,
uh,
I'm asking.
I, I know that has been a request of yours. I'm getting other requests for that too. Um, right now, I don't know, but certainly there are things that I do now that a year ago I didn't think I would be doing. So this is a constant um, growth progression. Never quite know where it's going, and I do try to trust like where the universe and the animals take me. But I hear your request, Katerina. I hear it.
Maybe Luna will tell you something
Totally.
more about this
Totally.
and ask you for it again. Yes, amazing. I'm really grateful and happy for our conversation. And wow, I don't know what to
Yeah.
say.
Well, I'm so appreciative of you having me here, and I know that we came together in a time of loss for you, but I'm so grateful for Luna in putting us together.
Yes. So yeah, sometimes the as you said, there's the shift and the transition. The transition makes the biggest shift in our lives. And I have such a great connection to Luna. And as you mentioned, maybe the signs that we can ask for a sign. So sometimes the animals give us a really sign which you can feel, you can hear, like the paws are on the
Mhm.
floor, or I
Mhm.
have the feeling that sometimes she jumps on into my bed, and yeah, I could see her, or I could see Leo outside, so I could see really his face, but it was the body of a different cat, but I saw his face
Yeah.
on her, and it was amazing. So I'm blessed with being alive here, and I think this is it. So we are searching for our purpose here, but I think the purpose is also to see the beauty and watch the beauty. This is why I do my broadcasting from outside. I want to have the wind here and the birds, and maybe at the end I will share the words of my friend, a shaman. When I was asking him, years ago when my consciousness was not so open, I was asking him because of my son about the school, what to teach our children. So what the indigenous people teach their children. And he was looking at me and said, "Ah, it's the question of the modern human, modern man." And he said, "Well, okay, so I will tell you." So he said, "We are not teaching children. Children are taught by the when they see what we do and how we live. So they're not
Mm.
taught like you think." And he said, "Okay, so if it would be one thing, so teach them and teach yourself and remember back that the animals and the plants and the sun and the planets and the earth, that these are our brothers and sisters from a different tribes, and from the tribes with wings, from the tribes with the fur, from the tribes of stones." And he said, "If you remember to this, if you remember this, so this will make the biggest change in the world, because we are part of the life."
Yeah.
And I'm really grateful for having the possibility to have you here for this amazing conversation, and for sharing this and giving voice to this wisdom. It's not just the knowledge, it's the wisdom of life. We are it, and the earth is it. And if you have something at the end, please share. And
Oh, I'm very grateful. I'm grateful for you, and I thank you for this invite. I'm grateful for the opportunity to share this with others, um, and for the work, and incredibly grateful for the animals. They have taught me more than I could write in tons and tons of journals and books. And every day they continue to teach me. So it's
yes.
truly a gift.
So if you want to, for people, if you want to connect with Maria, so there is the contact below this video, and I'm happy to share this. And it was a challenge for me because it's my second interview in English.
You did
And
amazing. You did
yeah,
amazing.
happy to be here and share. And I hope it will bring the best for all of us, and we can enjoy life together. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Maria.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
And see you or hear you, not see you anymore, and not for this time. It's amazing to hear you and to be in contact with my animals. So I will write you for a next
Perfect.
session.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank
Great.
you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye. Oh.